Thanks for listening to Baxie's Musical Podcast. If you like what you hear today, be sure to like it, follow it, tell all your friends about it, give it a big fat review. You can also check out Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for regular updates about upcoming guests. Today, we're brought to you by Metro Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram at Chicopee. Stop by their state-of-the-art dealership next to BJ's and Big Y on Memorial Drive, or stop by MetroJeep.com and make it Metro. And then drive home in your new Metro Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today.
It's Baxie's Musical Podcast. Resistance is useless.
I think we can all agree that by and large, that whole COVID experience with its lockdown, social distancing, and widespread panic was a miserable period for just about everybody. And of course, the long-term repercussions of that experience are still being felt today, 6 years later. And while there's no question that the pandemic caused tension and heartbreak for many people, it also forced others to be creative in how they do things. In many ways, the pandemic forced us to consider different approaches to the work we do, to how we express ourselves, to how we conduct our personal relationships. In some ways, that's good. In some ways, it's not. But that's the world we're left with. COVID caused drastic change, forcing us all to make decisions on how we were going to get things done. For musicians, this was a period of trying to overcome geographical limitations. For some, there were live stream performances, exchanging music files, and far more crowdsourcing than ever before. But that was for the artists that chose to endure the challenges and were able to outlast the lockdowns. One of those that found a way around all this was the band ROMES. Initially, this was a four-piece band that formed in 2016 when the four original members met in high school while living in Ireland. By the following year, the online magazine Alternative Press named ROMES as a band to watch for 2017. This led to a series of festival gigs that brought them to the U.S., and by the end of that festival tour, brothers Jacob and Nicholas Bitove left Ireland and relocated back to their hometown of Toronto, Canada. This, of course, was all prior to the pandemic. But once 2020 rolled around, both James Tebbets and Andrew Keys decided to remain in Ireland and amicably left the band. This led the Bitove brothers to reposition themselves as a two-piece, releasing several singles and eventually releasing their self-produced debut EP, My Demons Are My Best Friends, in 2021. In 2024, the brothers scored and produced music for the Call of Duty video game series. Last November, after years of honing their craft, Jacob and Nicholas released their first full-length album, the self-produced Sonic Trash. It's music that they describe as punktronic, melding electronic music with elements of industrial punk with a touch of hip-hop thrown in as well, but doing it in a way that's totally fresh and unique, and certainly among the best group of songs of their career. But it certainly took a lot of work and flexibility to make that happen. ROMES has just wrapped up their latest North American tour, including appearances earlier this year at the Palladium in Worcester, Mass., supporting Danny Rocco and Des Rocs, who has also been on this podcast back in 2024 as well. To talk about all of that are my guests today, Jacob and Nicholas Bitove from ROMES on Baxie's Musical Podcast. I appreciate you being here. I've been reading up on you guys quite a bit over the last couple of days, and going through your history a little bit. And the thing that kind of leaps out at me is that the two of you guys have gone through these major shifts in your life. Where you grew up, where you wound up, going back again, and we'll get into some of that in a moment. But musically speaking, the new record Sonic Trash, I think, also reflects those big changes and the willingness to change. I mean, musically speaking, it's a much more aggressive record than My Demons Are My Best Friends. Tell me a little bit about the change in direction for you guys.
Yeah, like with Sonic Trash, we kind of went back to our roots and pulled from a lot of the influences that we grew up on. So it's kind of bridging the gap between electronic with this like kind of punk rock energy. And it's like all the best stuff that we grew up on in the 90s. And a lot of it came that when we started writing the record, there was no real goal or idea of how it should sound. It was more just us getting together in our basement studio and just jamming, integrating gear in like unusual ways and seeing what kind of crazy sounds came out of it. And those sounds would typically inspire us to, develop it into a full song. But it was like, I think, the aggressiveness came just from, running synthesizers through guitar amps or drums through guitar pedal boards. And so there's just a lot of like natural distortion that was happening, and that kind of contributed to the sound of the record.
And you guys were incorporating a lot of that stuff into your live shows already. So you were kind of going back and forth between the stuff you had released and now like all these new interludes in between all the more pop sounding stuff that you had done before. What was the reaction of audiences to that? I mean, did they understand it right away, or is it just like you guys felt like, okay, this is the direction we got to go in?
Like we just came off our first time touring in Europe, our first headline tour, and it was pretty wild to see. Like the crowds were super receptive to it, and I think because of this genre mashing that we're doing, it was kind of crazy to see. Like one moment it's a dance floor and people are just like letting loose, cutting rugs, and then 30 seconds later there's like a full-on mosh pit breaking out, and it's like this back and forth the whole show, and it was just so cool to see.
Yeah. Well, and you didn't want to like drop a ballad in the middle of it just to really confuse them?
Maybe at one point.
Maybe tonight we'll do that.
Yeah, maybe Jake will bust out the acoustic guitar tonight. We'll see.
You guys are currently on tour with Danny Rocco and Des Rocs, and he's been on the podcast before. And knowing his music and then hearing how Sonic Trash sounds, it sounds like this is a very smartly conceived combination of both of you guys on the bill. How did that happen? And what are your thoughts about that combination of the two of you performing together?
So yeah, we started following each other on Instagram, like, I don't know, 4 years ago or so. And he hit us up just shortly before and said he'd love for us to join him on this tour. And obviously it was a no-brainer for us. So we said, yeah. And yeah, at the end of the day, we're just trying to both make exciting, real rock music, with an edge. And it's definitely a good fit.
Yeah, and it was interesting because we were talking to him in the green room a couple shows ago, and it seems like we both feel that the music that we're making, he was saying this about his, and we feel the same about ours, and that it doesn't really fit in a specific lane. It's not like exactly this genre, it's not exactly that genre. He is mashing a lot of different styles together, as do we, and so it's kind of a blessing and a curse in a way, because trying to find that audience, but I think we're both trying to do something that's a little bit different. And, maybe that's why he reached out and asked us to hop on this tour with him.
It's almost like I can see him saying, okay, I need an opening band that is going to exhaust the audience before I get there. Because I'm going to exhaust them even more.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, because he's definitely more rock leaning. We've got a lot more like electronic influences in our sound. And the first of three band for the first half of the tour, and now the ones that have joined, they're rock. So we're kind of like this electronic rock hybrid sandwiched between two rock acts. And it's just kind of like a all-out assault for like whatever 3 hours with these three bands playing. But his fans are the best. Like they show up early. The rooms are packed like before the first band goes on, and they've just got so much energy. Like we're leaving it all out there, but then he comes on the stage and it's like everyone just chugged 3 cans of Red Bull. They're going like absolutely bonkers for him.
Screaming for the whole set. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that Red Bull didn't offer to sponsor this tour, because that's that, or like a big block of sugar or something. You both grew up in Toronto, Canada, which apart from the godly traffic involved in that city, it's a great place. But as kids, you guys wound up moving to Ireland, if I'm understanding that correctly. What was it that precipitated that move?
We were pretty young. I was like 11, Jake was 7. And our parents initially decided to move to Europe for a year. They decided on Ireland just to like kind of travel around Europe a bit. And then we just got like both of us and our younger sister, we all just got settled into school, and they ended up being there for like 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, ended up loving it. And
we were like way out in the countryside though, like middle of nowhere, sheep in the front field. It's like when you picture Ireland and like what you see in the movies, that's where we live. Like hour 15 drive to school every
we
day.
literally went like polar opposite, like downtown Toronto to
So,
Culture shock.
what was the trend? I mean, you're young, obviously, but what was that transition like? I mean, Toronto's a big city, and now you're talking about the rural Irish countryside. I mean, that's had to be a pretty stiff pivot right there.
Yeah, no, it was definitely tough at first. I think we all kind of hated it at first, like me and you.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
But no, like as we started going to school and making friends and playing music and stuff, we ended up like really enjoying the whole experience and loving the country.
Plus, the good thing is because we were like way out in the middle of nowhere, and the nearest neighbor was like over a mile away. We had a little like coach house behind our house that our parents turned into a music studio. So that kind of became the spot where Jake and I would go after school every day and just, jam cover songs, record shitty demos. And it kind of kickstarted our whole musical journey, just having that space for us to go and just work on music every day.
And you guys met James and Andrew while you were was it like high school age, or was it earlier than that?
I met them when I was probably like grade 6 or something. So yeah.
So what point did the four of you say, okay, let's start a band?
So we started just entering like the school. We had like school band competitions and stuff. And we thought like, why not? Like Andrew was a bass player. I could somewhat sing. James was the guitar player. We had another drummer at the time because
I was off in university.
You were off in university. And then we started winning these band competitions. So we're like, why don't we keep going for it? Yeah.
It sounds like that once you guys started to kind of knuckle down a little bit and take it seriously, that things kind of progressed relatively quickly for you. I don't know if I'm catching that correctly, but it seems like within a short period of time, all of a sudden you're touring, you're playing festivals, you're getting noticed by music press. It seemed like a pretty fast transition forward. Would that how you describe it?
Yeah, we were pretty lucky in a way. When we moved back to Toronto with the other two guys initially, we just had a great like agent, booking agent who did a lot for us and got us on some really great festivals and shows.
Yeah, it's like, to be honest, there's been a lot of ups and downs. It hasn't been like a trajectory like this. There's been a couple like restarts with the band, different formations and whatnot.
Sure.
And then when the two Irish guys you're talking about, James and Andrew, when COVID hit, they moved back to Ireland, and Jake and I were kind of forced with the decision, like, oh, what do we do now? And so that's when we decided, all right, well, the two of us, we're brothers. We've kind of always been on the same wavelength creatively. So let's just, we'll move forward as a duo. Kind of thought about what we wanted to do, and basically, like I was saying earlier, we just like, let's just start mashing all the genres together that first got us excited about music in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's what we started doing.
Well, I think the thing is we didn't actually really have to think that much about what we wanted to do.
It happened.
Kind of just
Yeah.
We kind of both knew together that we just wanted to make the music that I think we've always been wanting to make, but just never really.
Well, let's step back a bit. What was it that made you guys want to come back to Canada?
So I had finished high school. My sister was basically done high school. You had graduated.
I just finished university the same year.
So we were all kind of finishing up school, and my parents were just like, it makes sense to. And my parents were getting older. They kind of just wanted to be back around family, and
they'd had enough of the Irish countryside at that point.
We got to go back to where there's more hockey and there's more traffic and
traffic's amazing. Yeah.
Right, all those things. When the pandemic starts in 2020, like you said, it represented another big change for you guys. You're going from a 4-piece to a 2-piece, and my understanding was a relatively amicable split, but now it's just you two guys. Right. Did you at any point think, let's just try something completely different, or let's or was this the lane you guys were seeing yourself going down all along?
I think so. Like even when we were with the other two guys and would play shows, we would always make these like heavy transitions in our set, like super electronic, but I don't know.
It didn't really
it
fit
didn't really
the
fit.
music that we were making.
Yeah.
We were always trying to find ways to get more aggressive and heavier and more electronic with these like little
Transition
moments
things,
in
yeah.
our set. And so after they left, yeah, we're like, well,
Why don't we
shit,
just take that?
let's just do that
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like when they left, like the first thing we put out was My Demons Are My Best Friends, and it was like a little bit of a departure from what we were doing before, but not substantially. And then it was really like a couple years ago, once we both started getting together in the studio, and like I was talking about, just doing these like crazy experiments and like more focusing on sound design and having fun more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like naturally these like wild ideas started to form, and then the more we did that, the more this like kind of cohesive sounds started coming together, which became Sonic Trash.
You guys have also, this is not the first time you self-produced yourself. So, but you are now on a different label. Do you find that you're going from one label to another, that you have just like, is there just more creative freedom involved in it now? Like you feel like you can take this next step a little easier than you had maybe in previous iterations?
I mean, now we're 100% independent.
Yeah.
Like Sonic Trash was put out independently. Yeah, we had been in a couple label deals before, which we were not happy with, and our legal team luckily were able to get us out of those. So yeah, now being like independent, there's so much more freedom. We love it. I can't see that changing anytime soon. Just, you know, being able to set up our own release schedules, just have total control over everything, and it just results in the music, the videos, the art, like everything, just the exact vision that we have.
Yeah,
we're
we do
able
everything.
we're able to do
Yeah.
it. Jake, he mixes and masters everything. We produce everything. And it just, not only that, but it's just, you can get stuff done so much faster.
Yeah.
There's no, you got to go through.
Well, I mean, you guys, started off talking about, your about punk a little bit. I mean, there really is such a big DIY component to that. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys are doing. I mean, you really are in control, not just artistically, but, business wise and other things. There's other things that you probably are more involved in than you would have been had you gone down a more traditional road with like a major label, or even, some independent labels wouldn't have given you that kind of freedom.
Right. Yeah. And I'm a control freak, so I kind of like having that control as well. Like, I don't know, like the previous record deals, you're just held in this like limbo state. And it kind of, it gets to the point where it starts sucking all the creativity out of you, because you're working on this music.
You never know when it's going to be.
It's like, oh, you got to wait for a tour to come until we can release the single. And you're like, shit. Well, like, we just,
at the time that's released, we're going to be,
you're sick of the songs. And so now it's just like, make a project, we set up a plan, we release it, and it's just, yeah, it's awesome.
So when you say you're a control freak, I mean, ultimately, though, you guys are brothers. And there are a lot of brother bands in history that have gotten along great, and there are some that haven't. You guys are still making music after a good 20 some odd years, 30 years, however long it's been. How do you navigate through that relationship? Because, I mean, it can get kind of complicated at times.
I mean, to be honest, like the only time Nick really gets mad at me is when I snore at night in the hotel room. Other than that,
yeah,
pretty smooth sailing. Like it's good. We don't really fight.
We know what pisses each other off, and we try to not step on each other's toes. If we do get into arguments, it's always about like stupid little shit.
Yeah. So no Dutch ovens, no why you hitting yourself, why you hitting yourself stuff, none of that stuff, right?
No.
No. That's too bad, because those make for great stories.
Yeah. No silly pranks.
No.
So you guys talked about some of the music that kind of influenced all of this and what you guys have done, and not only just this new record, but overall. So what kind of stuff was it that was influencing you back in the 90s when you were young, or whatever, or even stuff that you're listening to now that's having an effect on you?
So yeah, we definitely came from more of like a rock background through my dad and my mom. Well, our dad and our mom.
Yeah.
So we grew up just playing like a lot of old classic rock covers. So we always had this rock sort of spirit in us. But then in the late 90s and early 2000s, we both got super into like electronic music. So like whether that be, you know, Daft Punk or Justice or
a lot of like electro,
Nine Inch
house
Nails
stuff.
or whoever. So yeah, and then just naturally it's found this sort of hybrid in our sound that we kind of.
And our dad, you know, like he used to make his own mixtapes and he'd put them on in the car rides to school, and it was just like weird underground stuff that would span genres. So we were like exposed to a lot of different music at a young age. We were just like every drive to school, we were like listening to really, really cool shit that got us into it. And then when we moved to Ireland, the whole like British indie invasion scene was happening. And we got really into that, you know, like, so we were doing Franz Ferdinand, Block Party, Arctic Monkeys, all that sort of stuff. We really got into that. And yeah, like Jake's first record that he got when he was like 6, 7 years old was Daft Punk's Homework. So it's just been, I guess really just a result of our upbringing, our parents introducing us to so many different styles of music at such a young age. And it just, it had an effect on our sound at the end of the day.
So were they just fans, or were they musical, you know, themselves, or just, you know, music lovers?
They're musical,
Both, yeah.
not professionally, but our dad, like he can play a little bit of everything, like guitar, piano, drums. Mom's a great singer, so we would just have like, you know, family jams sometimes. It was pretty sweet.
I've played drums since I was like in 6th grade, and I remember when I told my parents, "Gee, I'd really like to get some drums." They thought that there was a screw loose, and that something was, you know, what had they gotten themselves into? You know, with you guys, I mean, your drums, guitars, whatever you guys were playing, there was no resistance. They were pretty supportive of this all the way through.
Yes, yeah. And like I said, having that extra space way out in the countryside in Ireland, they never had to listen to us as we were learning to play our instruments. So they could just be doing whatever while we're like making absolute rubbish noise. And
the luckiest two parents in Ireland.
There you go. Yeah.
So as you're going through the cycle of recording and releasing this record, I know it's, you know, and it's taken a good period of time from, you know, the last record to now. Where do you see yourselves going next? Do you see yourselves following this lane for a little bit, or are other things starting to maybe influence you now that the record is out and available?
It's hard to say. Like I said, with Sonic Trash, we had no preconceived notions of what it should sound like. It all just happened from us experimenting in our studio. And I think the process will be very much the same with the next record. It won't sound the same. It definitely won't sound the same, but I think it'll
have the same energy,
and it will come about from like a similar way of doing things where we're just having fun, trying to create new sounds in the studio and see where that leads.
I mean, I think we were saying the other day, like, I think we actually want it to be a bit more intense and heavier and more distorted and everything. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I expected you guys to say, that it would get heavier and maybe a little bit more industrial. I don't want to say like, you know, like Skinny Puppy and Ministry, but, you know, maybe going more further that way than say like in a pop direction, or even the hip hop that you guys incorporated too. I could see like that would be the next step for me, but I'm not telling you what to do.
Maybe it'll be an album full of ballads.
Yeah, might do an acoustic album.
You know what? I would pay good money for that.
Industrial acoustic.
Might be inspired by Jimmy Buffett, though. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what there needs to be. More industrial ballads. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, congratulations on the record. I really enjoyed listening to it, and I wish you guys all the best. And again, the idea that you guys are traveling with Des Rocs, I think that's an inspired piece of booking right there. That's a really, really cool bill.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. His show's insane. He's such a nice guy. His whole band and crew are awesome. So it's been, I mean, after tonight, we're halfway through the tour, but it's been awesome.
Yeah. When I talked to him, I thought it was kind of funny because he seemed like such a like a down to earth kind of guy, really kind of quiet. Then you see videos of him on stage, or you hear his music, like, where the hell did all that come from?
I mean, it's kind of similar to us. Like, we're pretty like in the day. very quiet and chill. And then when we get on stage, it's like just go nuts. Yeah.
That's
The
great.
switch flips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I appreciate the time today. Best of luck and enjoy the rest of the tour. And thanks for joining me today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, nice to meet
We
you.
appreciate it.
Nice meeting you too. Take care, guys. The name of the latest album from ROMES is called Sonic Trash. Keep up to date with what's going on with the band by going to romesmusic.com. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can reach me at bax@rock102.com. I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks to Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee for their support. But most of all, thanks to you for listening to Baxie's Musical Podcast.